welcome back to the channel. My name is Brittany of BrittanyJJones.com, and in today's video I'm going to show you all how I like to insert my invisible zippers. Let's get started. Alright, y'all, so to begin, I'm going to be using a marking tool for this tutorial, scissors, pens, and the tool that I absolutely love is this heat and bonding tape. That's how I insert my invisible zippers. I absolutely love it. You can find it at all craft stores. I know I've seen it at Joann's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart. It's where I usually get mine. It comes in different widths, and this is 3/8 of an inch width, and I love it. That's totally optional though. You can totally just baste your zipper in. You could also use Wonder tape. I believe that is quite similar to this. So I'm going to be using this quick muslin that I made up with some cotton fabric I just had laying around. This top though, it is lined. As you can see here, it is a lined bodice, but the bottom, the skirt portion of it is not lined. So to begin with the tutorial, I am just first going to get the pattern pieces together because I really want that waist seam to match up. That's kind of like the key. You really want that seam to match up. So to get mine to match, I'm going to be using this zipper right here. And I first just kind of like to lay my zipper on top and kind of pin one side in place just so I can see where it would kind of hit and line up with the waist area. So as you can see here, I'm just pinning it in place. And from there, I'm going to grab my marking tool and I'm just going to mark right there at that line. Now this is just kind of like a little rough draft eyeball line. I usually have to move it down maybe about 1/4 inch or up, just about 1/4 inch. But it's just an eyeball. So this is, I like to mark that on both sides of the zipper tape right across that waist seam line just so I can know where it needs to be at. So I take those pins out and then I move forward with making sure I move my lining out of the way. So just move your lining up, move it out of the way because we're not working on the lining right now, just on the bodice. So I take a piece of the heat and bonding tape and I just cut a little bit of it. You don't need as much as I'm using. It's totally optional how much you decide you want to use, but this is what I like to use. Especially when I'm sewing the zipper in on that side, I tend to lose control of it sometimes. So the more I have of the zipper stuck down, the better for me. But anyway, I'm going to take that to the machine and iron down the sticky heat and bond tape first. And then once that's down and glued, I will then iron on the zipper, making sure that I match up my marking at the waist seam. And then I would do the same thing for the other side of the zipper. One thing I do want to point out is when you're sewing your zippers, make sure that you sew them both going in the same direction. So start at the top and sew down. You don't want to sew down one part of the zipper and then sew up on the other part. It could get kind of wonky. So just make sure you sew your zipper in the same direction on both sides. So now you can see here that I have ironed on just one strip of the heat and bond and it's stuck. You can see the little sticky part of it. And just peeling off the paper. So now I can lay my zipper down and iron on just the zipper tape. You don't want to heat up the coils. Just your zipper tape. I'm just laying it right there along the seam allowance, as you can see. Again, like I said, you can totally use a basting stitch. Depending on certain type of fabrics I'm using on, I won't use this method. I will just hand baste it in first. But most of the time I do use this because I just love it and it gets it in right where I need it. So now that I have that side complete, I'm just going to move on to the next side, go through those same steps of ironing on the heat and bonding tape and then ironing on the zipper. So moving on to the sewing machine, make sure that you go ahead and change out your zipper foot. And you can see here, I don't know if you can see, but I'm moving my needle over as far as I can for the side of the zipper that I am installing. So I have my zipper, my needle as far over as I possibly can, and I'm just going to sew right into the groove of the zipper just to get, you know, insert your invisible zipper as clean as possible. And right here you can see I have to adjust it down just a little bit. The zipper, I had to adjust it, which is okay because it wasn't permanently stuck there. You know, it was just kind of just held in place by the heat and bond. It wasn't stuck there forever. So you can always move it and adjust it. And then you do your test zip up, and on the first try it's in perfect. And I absolutely love it. This is the one method that I have used, and it just gets my zippers in perfect on the first try. So I'm just going to clean that up really quickly and then finish off the end of the zipper because I'm going to try to get it down a little bit closer there to close up that hole. And then I will close up the rest of that seam and then I will stitch down the ends of the zipper tape to the seam, the seam allowance, so the zipper isn't flopping around in the shirt. So you can also close off your zipper end if you had to shorten it like I did. You can take some scrap fabric and just kind of shorten it, cover the end of that zipper so it's not just a raw zipper on the inside. If you want to do that, that's an option. So now the next step to really get a clean, pretty finish, if you don't want to slip stitch your lining onto your bodice, this is the step that I absolutely love doing. Open out your lining and then you just want to fold it over onto the bodice, making sure that you have your lining folded up, that seam allowance on the hem of your lining. So again, open out. You can see I have my zipper opened out, everything, the raw edges are open, and just fold it onto the bodice, right sides facing. Simple as that. It's super easy. And just go ahead and pin the edges together, pin that lining all to the zipper tape. You're going to sew it down on the zipper tape, making sure that you don't hit the zipper, just the zipper tape. And for the top of the zipper, you just want to pull that excess out through, just pull it out through that opening so that you can sew that down. And then after it's sewn, you'll be able to clip off that excess zipper. So just continue pinning like I'm doing here. Now that I have it pinned, I'm just going to go ahead and stitch as close as I can to the zipper teeth without hitting it, making sure that I stay on the zipper tape. So just go ahead and line everything up and then just begin sewing right along that zipper tape, trying to get it as close as you can to the zipper without hitting the zipper. Okay, so once you have it sewn, before I clip off the excess, I always like to just double check to make sure the zipper stop is, right at the top, looking nice and neat how I like it. And if it is, because sometimes in the past I've had to go back and unpick, but if everything is good and I like it, then I would just flip it back out and go ahead and clip off that excess zipper like I'm doing here. And I'm only clipping off just that zipper, just that little corner piece. And then you flip it back out, pull the stop all the way out, and then you have a really nice clean finish for your lining. You didn't have to hand sew it. Not that, if you want to hand sew, that's totally an option. You do what works best for you. And for me, this option works best for me and I absolutely love it. So again, I'm just going to repeat those steps on the other side. Fold that lining, pull the lining out, and then fold it onto the bodice, right sides facing, pin it along the zipper tape. Once you have that side pinned, you can take it to your machine and sew it the same exact way you did the other side. And then I just go through my same steps of checking the zipper stop, clipping off the excess zipper tape at the top, flipping everything to the inside, making sure everything is nice and clean. If I have to make any adjustments, I go ahead and make them. And then, yeah, that is it. You go ahead. I can zip my zipper up. I can also add a hook and eye if I like to the back where the zipper is. And the next step that I would do from this point would be to just go ahead and slip stitch the lining over the waistline seam. So that is how I install my invisible zippers. I really do hope this tutorial was helpful for you all. If you have any questions, please leave them for me below. I'll be more than happy to answer. Remember that this is, how I like to do it. There are tons of different ways to install visible zippers. Like I said, you can baste them in place, hand baste them. You can even use a little bit of Elmer's glue stick just to hold your zippers in place if you like. There's heating bonding, wonder tape, whatever works for you. Just find your method and insert those zippers. All right, y'all. I'll talk to you in the next video. Blessings, everyone. Bye.